Go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Hit the record button.
Gosh, that's swell.
It's a Lowe's Blog Talk Radio.
Hi. How you doing, guys?
Hi.
This is another show. Yes, hi. This is Raymond-Kym Suttle, correct?
That's me.
Oh, all right. How you doing, Raymond?
I'm dazzling, but then I always am.
Yes. Well, yes. I say that because I was looking at your posters, and I was like, this is one heck of a poster. If there was one poster at the Fringe Festival that I want to keep for some reason, this would be it.
Hurrah! Glad to hear that.
Right. No, I'm serious. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But for those that don't know, obviously, this is Black Talk Radio, and we're talking to Raymond-Kym Suttle, who is the author of Yes, No, Maybe. Tell us a little bit about Yes, No, Maybe. So
I had an idea a while back about inspired by the movie Indecent Proposal, where Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore are married, and they meet a wealthy older man who offers them $1 million if he can sleep with the wife. And I thought, what would happen if the older man wanted to sleep with the husband, not the wife, because that has a whole set of different parameters in terms of negotiating what's done and what's not done. But then also within the context of the Me Too movement, where people are coming out and saying they've been abused or they've been expected to pay for sex, use sex to pay for their career advancement. And there are also a lot of people I know who still do use sex to get ahead. I've met people who have married older men in order to get their fortune when that man dies. And I think that there's an interesting debate to go on about, yes, people are being abused, but yes, people are still using sex to sell themselves. And so I wanted to write something that was around that. And also looking at the changing face of relationships, because I know that there are a lot more people who have come out as being polyamorous or in open relationships. And whereas my parents' generation, my father had an affair for 40 years, and it was a well-known secret. So I wanted to look at what happens if this couple are very open to things happening outside of their relationship because they're not bound by the morality of monogamy.
Right.
Does that change the deal? Is it such a big deal? And it's one of my characters. The man in question who's being asked if he will sleep with this other person is saying, "I don't know that anybody's worth $1 million."
No, not nowadays. Not in California. I'd say 5, maybe 10 million would do. But 1 million, I'm like, you're really. What can I buy with $1 million in Hollywood? Never, nothing. Maybe a condo.
Yeah, and this is the thing: is $1 million would absolutely change my life dramatically, and I think it would for most people. But I've done a fair amount of research where I've gone around to ask straight men would you sleep with me for $1 million, and the majority of responses have been, tell me what that involves, which is maybe, or as one person put it, it's a deferred yes. And there are
these are straight men, or these are just random people.
Okay. And I've had a couple of guys who just instantaneously go yes. $1 million is $1 million, and a lot of people have slept with somebody and regretted it, and they've done it for free. So
right.
I think a lot of it is about, looking at this particular society, American society and European society are slightly different in terms of sexual mores and what people are willing to talk about or consider. And there seems to be a strong Puritan element to the American sexuality. I mean, it always amazes me that parents are horrified to see, same-sex couples kissing on screen, but they're fine with their children watching extreme violence.
Right.
And
exactly.
What is it about? When Janet Jackson exposed her pasty nipples, this huge outcry, and so why is that a problem? But you have no problem with war and gun violence, and,
right?
It strikes me as a really odd thing. So I kind of want to.
Well, that tells you the moral campus of the American culture, I guess. Especially nowadays, you can tell the whole world actually knows, because I was recently in Russia, and their perception of America is really strange. And for me, at least, I saw Trump everywhere on mugs, on T-shirts, on Russian dolls, and I was like, I understand. I understand he's a figure to them, but they actually, kind of look up to him and or look up to Hollywood culture in general. And I'm like, no, you guys don't know. Everything they see through TV or media, I guess, is what they get. But yeah, American culture is very, very strange.
Look, every culture all over the world is strange if you're not part of it, and I think it's difficult, certainly as an outsider, to come here and start appraising things or judging people for the beliefs they have, because most people have been brought up in a system, in a culture that has taught them certain things, and not everybody's going to be questioning that. And because I've lived all over the world, and I've lived on 3 continents and 4 different countries, I've seen a huge variety of opinions and lifestyles and cultures, and I've traveled a lot. So, you rapidly understand that people believe what they believe because they've been brought up in a certain system. And so, coming back to yes, no, maybe, where we're going, it's the Puritan attitude towards sex, I think, is changing and shifting. But I think there's still, Hollywood sells violence and it sells sex. If you look at something like the Oscars or any red carpet event, where by and large men arrive in tuxedos and women arrive in very sexy outfits, and they're still selling sex. So it's a very conflicted message in terms of, is sex good? Is it bad? Is it, where do actors stand on that? Because I know some actors who won't even dream of doing something that's got a sex scene or nudity or anything even vaguely salacious. And there are other actors who will go, yeah, absolutely, let me do it. I mean, it's also weird for me that in America, where we've got this attitude towards things like Janet Jackson showing her nipples, but then it's also the porn capital of the world. It's like, what is that about?
Right.
Being a prostitute is illegal in most states, but pornography is not, and making porn. I mean, I heard this weird, wonderful thing is that if you hire a prostitute, you're breaking the law, but if somebody's there filming it, then you're no longer breaking the law, because then it becomes pornography. And these weird loopholes in law just don't seem to make any sense to me.
Okay.
So yeah.
So what do you think about the latest Me Too movement? Like you said, this is basically inspired by the movement that's going on, and the accusations on Bill Cosby, on Weinstein, or whoever. There's all this. Everybody's coming up with these accusations. So, will this be me neither, or what is your standpoint? What is the point? that you try to make?
Well, in the show, in the play, I'm presenting a variety of opinions because I've got different characters who have different attitudes to things, but I am bringing up issues around sexual fluidity and the Kinsey scale, which is the scale which Kinsey came up with in the 50s, I think it was, saying 0 is exclusively heterosexual and 6 is exclusively homosexual, and most of us we're never on. It's very rare to find somebody who's exclusively 0 or exclusively 6. Most people vacillate or move along that scale at some point in their life, and even if it's just making out with somebody of your same gender, or if you're gay, making out with somebody who's not your same gender, and it's for me part of what I'm looking at is why it is that sex is so powerful. Why obviously we're all on the planet because of sex, and there seems to be in a lot of areas there's an unwillingness to talk about it. So I just I want to have.
I think it's because I think it's very taboo. That's the reason why everybody wants to.
Which is weird. Nobody got onto this planet without their parents having sex. So why are we why is it such a problem to talk about it? And most people on the planet are having sex or masturbating or doing something that is. We dress up, we make ourselves look nice because we're hoping to be attractive to somebody, and presumably you want to be attractive to somebody because you want to get laid, and so majority of our lives, sex is some component to it. So it feels really weird that more people are not more willing to be open and have discussions. I've actually been quite pleasantly surprised by the number of men who, when I ask them the question, would you sleep with me for $1 million, are happy to answer. Most of the people who say never tend to be married men with children, and I do wonder if they're saying that because it's what they would want other people to hear them say.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. And if guys have said, yes, absolutely, I would, then the question comes, well, would you sleep with me for $500,000 or 20,000? What's the cutoff point?
Right. Well,
and then it's also interesting to say to gay men, would you sleep with a woman for $1 million? And
I have.
Husband, would you sleep to it with me?
Well, if it's Demi Moore, yes. I'm kidding, obviously. Well, maybe not for $1 million.
Sure is more than just, as they say. So, maybe you're not kidding. Keep them guessing. That's what I would say. So yes, anybody listening to this, I'm about to start casting my show. I've left it rather late, but I'm still working on the script, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I will be doing the casting this week. And if anybody is interested in playing one of the roles, the husband and wife, let me know. And it does require some dance skills because I'm hoping to do something slightly unusual with the sex scenes where I don't want them to be, they're not going to be it's not going to be a sex scene as you would expect. I'm going to do some interesting stuff with dance or acrobatics, hopefully. So depending on the skills of the performers I find.
Cool.
But
so there's not going to be nudity, let's say. I mean, do we want to say maybe they want maybe yes, maybe no?
There'll be.
Do we want to say
there'll be erotic exposure of flesh. Let's put it that way. But there's not going to be any simulated sex on stage. And yes, I know because I had an interesting discussion with Matt, who was running the director's workshop, where about sex scenes on stage, which are always an interesting thing because on film and stage are very different beasts. And on film, you've got this two-dimensional separation between you and the actors, but you also, something I realized in conversation is that when you're watching something on film, the people you're watching are never the same. They're never life-size. They're either smaller because you're watching them on a computer, or bigger because you're watching them on a movie screen, and that has played some part in making you feel less uncomfortable than watching two people making out right in front of you. And I've been in shows where there are sex scenes, and it's interesting. A couple of people have come to me afterwards and said, "Oh, that was really embarrassing because I felt like I was spying on you in your bedroom." And you go, "Well, good, we did a good job then."
Right. I mean, that's what you want to do, correct? I mean, I'm guessing. I'm speaking for, I guess, for people that are pushing the boundaries like you are, and it's not just a proposition of what would you do for $1 million, but it's also the level of morality, or the morale, or the the compass of people that people have, that, like you say, they accept violence first, and they accept murder first, and they accept all these Hollywood Fringe Festival shows are mostly about that. You have horror, and you have the war, and then you have these different themes. But what about lovemaking? What about sex? Why is that so taboo? And maybe people need to see it and see, why are they so afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, often, there's I don't know how applicable it is to America, but certainly in England, there's a statement that an Englishman's greatest desire in life is to get to the grave without embarrassing himself. And I think most people don't want to put themselves in situations that are embarrassing, but I'm hoping that with my play that's at least thought-provoking, that people will walk out at the end of the show, and if they're there with a partner, say, what would you do? Would you be up for this? Would you want to, if an opportunity arose to have sex with somebody else, do both of the parties of the couple want to participate? Do they, there's so many questions to explore where I think a lot of people in relationships just take things for granted. You assume that you know what the person likes or doesn't like, and you don't actually talk about it. Hopefully I'm wrong, and people do talk about it a lot. But I've certainly had conversations with people who they can't tell their partner that they like a certain thing, and I'm going, why not? Like, surely you should be able to have that kind of conversation and not be judged about what your sexual tastes are.
Right.
And essentially, I have a friend who teaches bondage classes, and I'm not into bondage at all. Like, I'm claustrophobic, so the thought of being tied up and not being able to move is just horrific for me. But he just did a workshop over Easter, and had a sold-out workshop with something like, I think, 150 people there. And who knew so many people were into bondage at Easter time? I think there are people who might want to explore things, but they don't know how to bring it up with a partner. So maybe this play would be a good way for people to broach the subject, say, hey, let's go and see this play, and then let's have a conversation about it afterwards. Certainly my feeling is, if you are putting on a play and you don't have anything to say or anything worth discussing, it's a lot of hard work to put on a show or make a film or whatever. It seems crazy not to have something worth discussing. Yeah. And sometimes it's just comedy and you just want to have a good time and laugh, but it's a privilege to have people's attention for an hour and a half, whatever it is. So my feeling is always have something worth talking about.
Mm-hmm. And for those that are listening that may not know, so this Yes, No, Maybe is the title of the show, and it's going to be playing at the Hollywood Fringe Festival, and it's going to be 80 minutes long. Well, that's what it says here. I'm not sure if it's 80 minutes. But
aiming for that. And there's it's on at the Flight Theatre at the Complex on Hollywood Boulevard. Sorry, I'm correct. Right. At Santa Monica Boulevard, and I'm going to see if there's possibility with the script to at least have some kind of discussion. I'm giving people the opportunity to vote before and after the show, to see whether they've changed their mind from the beginning to the end, and I'm trying to work out a way of getting people to be able to vote without their partner, if they're there with their partner or their friends, seeing what they're doing, so that I can get honest responses. Because, again, I think it's, like I said, with the married men saying that they would never do it, I think some people might change their answer if they know that nobody's listening and it's completely anonymous. And I would hope people would be honest. I think it's more interesting. Honesty is more interesting than lies. So yeah, if there might be, hopefully, there's an opportunity for people at the end to do the vote again and maybe have a discussion. We'll see what happens with that. Or
maybe we can do it online. I mean, if you're
yeah,
you can do it online, or maybe at one of the parties, or survey, I guess. There's many ways to do it. But by the way, your hashtag is yes, no, maybe, play, correct? That's how people find you on Facebook.
Hashtag yes, no, maybe, play, and
you have it on Instagram too, or just
yes,
Facebook?
It's on Instagram. I've been doing double dipping because I've been doing it on my own Instagram profile, which is letter R, letter K, and then my last name Suttle, Suttle. So Instagram is RK Suttle.
Okay.
And then there is also.
You remind me of that movie. Your name reminds me of that movie, Brazil.
Really?
I don't know if you ever saw that.
I did.
Well, the name of I think it was Tuttle or Suttle.
Oh, Tuttle, yes, that's right.
And it was like right? Anyways. But yeah, it's actually going to be playing starting June 8th is with preview, so.
That's right. And
yeah.
That night will be a pay what you can night. So
awesome.
It's a good night to come and see it. And I'm also, as I say, I'm going to do the voting thing if people want to participate in that, and they'll be able to do it either before the show or at the show. So if you want to book and place your vote, I will be putting up a Facebook page, which is yet to be done because I'm still trying to finish the script, as I said. So more important.
You're sort of busy lately. It turns out you're a very busy guy.
I'm doing 3 other jobs, and I'm performing in San Francisco a lot. So I do male burlesque, and I'm up at. I've actually got a gig in May as well, which is going to interrupt my rehearsal process. So it's never-ending fun. Work.
Yeah.
But
how do you find Hollywood compared to other festivals like San Francisco or I don't know? New York.
I've only done the Grahamstown Festival in South Africa once. No, actually, I lied. I've done that 4 times. And I did a couple of festivals in London, but nothing. I never did Edinburgh Festival. I was always too overwhelmed. It seemed too huge and too vast, and you're in competition with so many people producing shows. So in terms of expense, Hollywood Festival rates quite well. It's certainly one of the cheaper festivals I've ever participated in.
Okay.
And it seems to be super well organized, which is great. So I'm very grateful to certainly to Monica at the Fringe, at the Complex Theatre. Has been fantastic. So we'll see what happens when bums are on seats, hopefully.
Right. Well, you're in the epicenter of the whole thing. Like I say, a lot of people will be passing by. So for those that don't know, the complex have multiple theaters, so it's not just one theater. The complex has, I think, 5 or 6. I don't know. The Flight's one of them. The Flight, and there's other ones, but the Flight is going to be upstairs. So, anyways, for those that don't know, but go to HollywoodFringe.org. So you basically type, yes, no, maybe, or the project number is 6096. But anyway, I'll put the links below, so people that are listening, they'll be able to scroll down and click. Or do some homework and do it yourself. But I make it so easy for people. Like, come on.
Thank you. Just to let people know that my style of writing is that even when I'm dealing with fairly serious subjects, I like to have as much comedy in there as possible, and so there's a fourth character in the play who's kind of comic relief, and I really like what she's got to say. So if it's not going to be it's not a porno on stage. That's what I'm saying. It's got comedy, It's got drama, it's got eroticism, but it's predominantly it's a philosophical play.
Okay, and this is obviously for adults, so please don't bring your teenagers. Nobody
under 18.
Right, we're gonna check IDs, by the way. So no, I'm kidding. I don't know. How are you gonna determine? Right? Like lately,
I'm still deciding if I should make T-shirts, and you can buy your yes, your no, or your maybe, or.
Actually, those posters are amazing. Yeah,
thank you.
Pretty. Whatever they say, racy.
I have to thank my brave models who came along to help me out, because I haven't cast the play yet, and I managed to find two wonderful people to come and help me out with the sexy posters.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the posters, check them out.
Yes. But no, actually, it's pretty artsy. I mean, I love it, because some of them, you really can tell where the legs are and where the breast is and where the cheeks are, and we're like, what are you trying to make? I was trying to make it out. I'm like, what is that? Oh, it's a leg. Okay.
Good. That's the response I want to hear. And for those who are saying it, yes, it is meant to be like a Rorschach ink blot. So that was the idea.
Yeah.
Trying to see what you see in the
cool.
image, see what you see in the relationship.
Exactly. I see a butterfly.
And,
no.
I think the play is interesting in terms of anybody who is a writer or an actor or a director or anything in Hollywood who is trying to make it. Come and see it to maybe help clarify what's important to you in life, and how desperately you want something. Would you do anything to get your career, get it up a level, or what is the boundary for you to say, no, I'm good where I am. I'm not willing to do anything more, and I'm happy to stay at the level I'm at.
let me ask you the question. If George Clooney were to come to you and say, hey, would you do it for $100?
In terms of accusations, I read something the other day. Most of the people who people complain about are people who are perceived to be unattractive, physically unattractive. And somebody said the line was, how many people, if George Clooney did make an offer to them, how many people would be offended versus complimented? And I did find it interesting that when Kevin Spacey was accused, he was got rid of pretty quickly, and compare it to the way that heterosexual men were dealt with, it was a very different experience for most of them. There was a period of, this has happened and we need to investigate further. But with Kevin Spacey, it seemed to be
it was pretty brushed off, wasn't it?
And I'm wondering if is that an hypocrisy with sexuality, that gay men are judged more harshly and more swiftly than straight men? Because if straight men are running the show, then they're going to protect other straight men. But who was going to protect?
And I'm sure it happens the other way around. I'm sure it happens with women of power that
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know.
I've had something along those lines happen to me, and it's. Ideally, I would have liked to do this play with 3 different casts and had an all-female cast, an all-male cast, and then a male and women cast. Maybe one day I'll do that, because I think that would be an interesting experiment to see how the play and the dialogue plays out with with different genders playing all the roles.
So this is the premiere, correct? This is the first time you've ever done it. You haven't done it anywhere else, right?
Yeah, no, this is the first one for this one. I've got
Okay.
I've done about 3 or 4 other plays in London, full-length plays, dealing with different issues, but it's sex and sexuality and the hypocrisy around it comes up quite a lot, and particularly the things of for me, I find it so odd that so many people will, like my father, being in a marriage for a long time, having a mistress, and like, how is that better than being open and saying, having an open relationship, which is truly open, where everybody's in the know.
Right.
Because I think if you're having an affair, then you're not letting your partner have the choice as to whether or not they want to participate in this.
Right. Yeah, actually, well, I have been the mistress in a few in my past.
Shocking.
And shocking. But shocking because they still live their lives as if nothing had happened. And
So here's a question for you: Do you feel guilty about the fact that somebody else is?
I feel guilty. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And years later, I mean, my first time, to be honest, it was with a married man, and his wife and baby were next door. That's how crazy it was. And I feel guilty about it for years. I feel very guilty because I'm like, wow, your wife was next door and your newborn baby was next door.
But did you ever find out? Did she know about it? Was she
No.
saying yes? You're welcome to do this.
Not at the time, but I think she had an idea. I mean, I'm sure she eventually had to find out. I mean, I'm sure I wasn't the first one and the last one, and so
that's a whole nother play.
Yeah, it is.
Get writing.
Yeah, you know what? I might. Actually, that's a
bit. Having lived around the world and met all these different people, when people talk to me about a normal relationship, or normal sex or whatever, I have seen and met people with so many diverse experiences. I had this acquaintance whose parents his mother was a psychologist for the Navy and his father was a chaplain for the Navy, and they got married, and he had a male lover who, even after he died, the male lover was still living in the wife's house. And
wow,
there are so many variations on a theme in terms of what people do in their relationships. The notion that anything is normal, there may be things that are more commonplace, but I don't know that. It's like if you say to somebody, "Kiss me normally." How does one kiss somebody normally?
Describe that, please.
We do it differently, and it's like, so what is a normal relationship? It's normal for you, is abnormal for somebody else, and I certainly wouldn't want to recreate the relationship my parents had, and they were together until the day my dad died, and it was obviously a long-lasting relationship, but it was also fraught because it was, as I say, 40 years of dealing with a mistress. So. It's stuff that I wouldn't have put up with, and
right.
I don't think. I think it's wrong to judge people based on what you would do and what you wouldn't do. It obviously worked for my mother. She was willing to put up with it. She did. But I think people should be less quick to judge other people's relationships. Unless somebody's being physically hurt or emotionally abused, then mind your own business.
Right. Wow. That's a lot of. Are you putting any of this in the play? Like your father's story, or
it's one of my biggest problems in terms of the writing of the play is to try and make sure that it just stays conversational and there's action going on rather than sitting down and just having I don't want it to be a TED talk.
Biographical. I
say with elements of dance and things like that, there's a lot going on. So
Right.
There's some philosophical discussions, but it's not, if anybody knows the play Art, which is basically three men talking about a piece of artwork for 2 hours, it's not quite that dry. There's lots of other stuff that happens.
Cool. Yeah. So just to recap again, because we're almost out of time, but we want to make sure that people know to go to the that Hollywood Fringe Festival.org, and tickets go on sale May 1st, correct?
Yes, that's right.
May 1st. Okay, so that's coming up next week, and then
we're also doing a little
first
special
show
offer with. So we're doing a special offer with if you see our ad in the Fringe Guide. I'm sharing my ad with Notorious Moms and I'm going to get this name wrong. Crack whore bulimic girl next door. So if you see all three of our shows, you'll get a discount from the third show that you see. Hopefully, we're going to try and work that out and see if we can make that happen in terms of discounts.
Right.
So you're encouraged to we're all at the complex.
Right, at the flight. Yeah. Notorious Moms, I'm sure it is. I don't know about the whore next door.
Crack whore bulimic girl next door is at the Ruby, which is also at the complex. But downstairs.
Ruby, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, you did a whole ad together? Oh, good.
Yeah, we did. We shared that. So we're gonna, and there's some link between our shows in terms of gender issues and sexuality issues. So, hopefully we'll all give you a different perspective on similar themes.
So they say, right? Sell sex. Sex sells. So
it does, apparently.
So, yeah, if you're sold on it, if you're not sold on it by now.
The question is, if sex sells, are you willing to sell sex?
Ooh, that's a good tagline. But anyways, I do want to finish with Sade, because as Raymond said, this is inspired by the movie Indecent Proposal, and I was thinking, Sade songs are awesome, but the one song they should have done it was Smooth Operator. That was more appealing for that movie. However, they went with what's the song that I'm gonna play?
I don't know.
No Ordinary Love. No Ordinary Love. I was just playing it in my head. I'm like, but anyways, do you have any last words? Do you still want to tell people about the auditions, or are you done with the casting, or are you still doing casting?
You can go to my website and read character descriptions. It's Raymond-Kym Suttle, all one word. That's RaymondKymSuttle.com, and look up the auditions page and see the character descriptions. And hopefully I'm going to get some fantastic and interesting actors coming along to audition for the show. There's some nice stuff. Oh, and I'm also part of the kind of the payment for my actors is I will be filming some of the stuff for promo, so you will end up with scenes that you can use in your demo reel. And I make demo reels for actors, so you'll get high quality.
Okay.
Audition now. Send me an audition request via my website.
All right. Great. Okay, Raven. So this has been a very sexy show, a very provocative show. I'm hoping we have more of those coming up. But it's been great. Thank you for your time, because I know you've been very busy lately, so I appreciate your time. And
thank you very much for having me.
Go ahead, and you're welcome. And I'm going to finish with Sade with No Ordinary Love.
We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Hit the record button.
Gosh, that's swell.